I joined the Navy in 1958. I joined a program called the Kiddy Cruise. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do yet in life. I was fascinated with art and photography. And I was told that if I joined before my 18th birthday as a 17-year-old, I would be discharged a day before my 21st birthday. So joining the Navy to get away from hometown and get another perspective on the world before going to college or university seemed the right thing for me. And so after boot camp, imprinting on California and San Diego, which was delightful, and boot camp was just fine. Because 1958 was a tough time economically. There were a lot of people who were joining services because the job situation was grim. So I was sent to San Francisco for what they call temporary active duty. And I remember one of my buddies in boot camp said, "You're going to San Francisco." He said, Pete Stone, his name was, "That's the Pearl of the Pacific." I remember calling it the Pearl of the Pacific. So there I was at Hunters Point Naval Shipyard, and in a barracks with guys, and the guy in my particular cubicle area, a guy there was named Torgerson. And Torgerson was from the Northwest. He looked like a lumberjack, and he talked constantly about joining the Navy because he wanted to be an air traffic controller. That was his goal in life, air traffic control. And I always wondered why anyone would want to do that. It seemed very foreign to me. I wanted to be a photographer. I was interested in that technology, and I thought the Navy would give me a leg up on that. So after 9 months of philosophical discussions with Torgerson about how the world works and our religious backgrounds and what made sense, we were waiting for our orders, and our orders finally came. And Torgerson was sent to Pensacola, Florida, to the photography school. And I was sent to Olathe, Kansas, air control school. And I thought, well, I'm 1/3 of the way through this enlistment. I'll do air control for the rest of it. Fine. Hopefully, I'll be sent to a little small seaplane base somewhere on the East Coast, and I can read and do some studies, and this will be just fine. So they sent me to a high-density air traffic zone, Washington, D.C., Anacostia Naval Air Station, and I had, of course, changed my plans for the Navy, and it worked out just great. I discovered that after being there for a while, that it was interesting, and it was a job that I really enjoyed, and I worked with great guys, and what could be better than Washington, D.C.? I mean, San Francisco and Washington, D.C., not a bad Navy experience. And so after being there about a year and a half, some of my friends said, "Let's go over and have some beers at the Enlisted Men's Club." And I really wasn't a drinker. I didn't drink beer. And they said, "Well, it's time for you to get drunk." So I said, "Oh, okay." So we went over to the club. And sure enough, I'm sitting there, and they're filling my glasses from these big pictures with beer. And so I'm on my way, and I'm beginning to learn what being drunk is all about. But before I hit the end of that experience, I looked up at the bar, and there's a guy there that I recognized. And I got up, and I walked over, and I said, "Torgerson, what are you doing here?" My old buddy from San Francisco, Torgerson, is right there in Anacostia Naval Air Station working in the Navy photo lab. And he looked up and he said, "I'm a Navy plumber. I'm a photography plumber." He says, "I just push a lever and 50 gallons of this solution goes into the film. I press a button and 50 gallons of this solution go into the film." He said, "I hate every minute of it." And I kind of fell for him, but I couldn't tell him how great it was being an air controller. So I said, "Oh, okay, we'll get together again." And of course, by that time, I was 3 sheets to the wind. And I do remember that evening, leaving the Enlisted Men's Club after talking with Torgerson, going out the door. I remember the ground coming up and hitting my face, and it didn't even hurt.